So whether you're a 2.5 or a 5.0 recreational player or a team captain, our goal is to give you that secret advantage that the professionals use. It's a game plan for the warm-up. There are 4 steps or 4 critical components that all professionals use in getting ready to compete. We're going to give them to you so you can become a high-performance player. The first step is the mental game plan. And what's critical is you're going to use this the whole season. Whether you're playing singles, where you kind of visualize how you're going to play, you actually go through the motions that you're going to swing for your shots, you kind of picture if you're going to serve first, how you're going to react between points. If you're playing doubles, talk to your partner and say, look, do we want to serve first if we win the toss? Do you want to let them serve first? But you create a mental game plan before you even get on the court. So you're both on the same page as you start to play, so you can start with confidence to be a high-level player. Step 2, the physical warm-up. And once again, this is before you get on the court, how to get prepared. Things that I can do to get my body moving and kind of waking up the muscles I'm going to use. It's like taking a test. Before I take a test, I review the material I'm going to be tested on. So I get my body to move in the way that's going to move on the court. And it can be simple things like, the most importantly probably is the jumping jack. So I can do a jumping jack to get my body warmed up. I stretch out my legs, get on the balls of my feet, stretch out my shoulders. That would be step 1 in my physical warm-up. Step 2 might be, I need to fire my feet so they're going to move really fast. So I step back and forth over the line really quick. It's quick, small steps. A third one would be how to play defense. Because once I've sent the ball over the net, I have to prepare to be defensive and to simply shuffle back and forth across the line. Get my feet so I start to have a wider stance and get my feet moving laterally, because I got to play lateral defense most of the time. And the fourth one is actually to get loose in my waist and my hips and realize that most of my playing is going to be rotational. So simply rotating from right to left. The key part being I'm moving my feet to move my upper body, because when you play, it's a leg game, not an arm game. So it's really important that you get your body ready to perform if you're going to play at a high level. All right, now we have a court to hit on. We can actually do the hitting on court. We've got about 10 to maybe 20 minutes to get warmed up before we actually go play the match. What's some of the sequences that we should try to follow in getting warmed up when we have the court? Well, number 1 is when you come out, start off with volleys. Stephen Covey says you always start off with the end in mind. And hopefully in the match, I hope to be at the net where I can end the point. So I want to warm up with how I'm going to end the point. So I do volleys, and typically what I do is I practice aiming. So I'm volleying with a partner, in this case usually one of my own partners from my team, and we practice doing forehand to forehand because I need a more definitive target than just over the net. So do forehand to forehand, trying to get a lot of steps in. We need to go backhand to backhand. And depending upon your volley skill level, and we're going to help you get better with that as you tune up your game, you can spend a lot of time up there and get a lot of hits in. In fact, if we time it, and we have you do a volley drill versus 2 players hitting ground stroke to ground stroke, you'll hit 10 times more volleys in a minute than they can hit in ground strokes in a minute. So the more balls you can hit in this short period of time, the better. And you're starting off with your end in mind, volley, volley. Okay, we've done that. Now what happens? Well, typically we leave 1 player at the net, move 1 back to the service line. I start to introduce a swing with no backswing, but just kind of following through, adding from the point of contact forward. Don't need a big backswing because I'm at mid-court. My partner's going to volley back to me. I let the ball bounce, do a ground stroke back to him. I'm working from no backswing, just kind of following through because that's the most important part of the shot. What about the backswing? That's simply a timing mechanism to get my racket to the point of contact. So when I'm warming up in this short time, I'm practicing how do I make contact, finish my swing. So then after that I would change. I would become the volleyer, my partner moves back to the service line, and he does from point of contact forward. So we've both done that now. We've both got a little experience hitting up close. What happens next? We start to move back to 3/4 court next. And now we're starting to do ground stroke to ground stroke. And I want to mix it up. I've already done some underspin shots near the net, but this part of the court in 3/4 court is also a defensive type shot where I'm going to use a little bit of underspin again, start to add my topspin when the ball's at the right speed and the right height, and gradually work our way back to the baseline. So from the baseline, we're starting to add a little bit more height to the ball. And why do we add height? Because height equals depth. And my goal is to keep the ball high enough and deep enough that my opponent, or in this case my partner, can't hurt me on the shot because it's above their hitting zone. Good players warm up high. As they get confidence in the height, they bring the ball down. because they know in the match they have to have confidence when they get in trouble to raise the ball again without fear that the ball will go out. So I start off high warm up from the baseline, bring the ball down as I get warmed up. So okay, we've done ground strokes, we've done volleys. What happens next? Well, typically the next progression would be maybe a volley overhead combination. My partner comes to net and I practice lobbing. And the key part about practicing the lob to my partner is visualizing the height I want the ball to go. So I'm hitting much higher than his head, so he has to kind of move back for the overhead. And I'm trying to get a feel for the ball. And typically when I lob, I start with no backswing again, and kind of direct the ball up with the palm of my hand on my forehand side or with my shoulder on the backhand side. What about the net player and his overhead? What's he trying to do? He's mostly concerned about finding the point of contact. So when he turns like the quarterback, to turn to make the overhead motion, he's in a preparation phase. Both hands are together, and hand isn't up yet. Preparation phase, reach up, find the point of contact, and kind of fake the follow through. Find the point of contact, fake the follow through. And then as he starts to get warmed up, he'll start to make it more of a continuous motion. But his key point in the beginning, feel confident with the overhead. My job, feel confident with the height of my shot. Then we'll trade places. I'll do overheads, he does ground strokes and practicing his lob. So the next progression would probably be serves. And when you serve again, it's like a pitcher in baseball. You're not trying to throw your best pitch early. It's like spring training. Can you throw kind of a loopy ball to loosen up your shoulder motion? So as I practice my warm-up serves, I'm being very practicing kind of a loopy serve. Don't really care if the ball goes in or not at this point. I'm trying to discover height on my serve again and a full range of motion as I warm up my serve. Then my partner serves back to me. And what do I do on my side? Well, typically I'll practice catching the ball. Now, why would I catch the ball? Because when he's sending the ball to me, what skill am I working on? Receiving. So if I practice getting to the ball and catching it, I'm practicing receiving the ball like I plan to do with my racket. But if I can catch it in my hand, it probably means that I'm good with my eye contact. If the ball bounces out of my hand, it means I looked away before I actually caught the ball. So right away I can evaluate, am I really seeing the ball well and tracking it well when he's serving? And once again, he's hitting slow serves, right? Because he's warming up. Not a high risk for me to catch the ball. Then I'll serve back to him. He catches and serves back to me. Once we feel like we're tracking the ball well, now we'll start to serve and he'll return back to me. He should practically be returning a little bit of underspin sometimes, a couple of driving shots a few times, a couple of lobbing balls a few times. The fourth step is, okay, I've got my court. Now I'm going to do that little 5-minute warm-up. And how do I prepare for that correctly and how do I evaluate it? So we're on the court. We've decided we've spun our racket first before we warm up. So we know who's going to play from which end. That's very important and actually part of the rules. So you spin your racket first, see which side you're going to play. You walk out, start hitting, and typically we do short court tennis, which means we're going to feel the ball, move our feet, and do a cooperative warm-up with our opponent. What am I looking for in this cooperative warm-up? I'm looking like I did without the ball. Am I looking to see the ball spin? Can I feel my shots? And typically I'm going to warm up with underspin around the net as opposed to topspin, because I'm just hitting probably at the net a drop volley, a drop shot, an underspin volley, a slice approach shot. So use underspin in your short court warm-up until you start to feel like you've got a good sight for the ball and a good feel. Then as you back up, you begin to add your topspin to the shot. But the 5 minutes are about up now, and somebody's about to call time, and I say, okay, am I ready? So here's how I test out if I'm really ready. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I say, okay, 1 to 10, where am I? If I'm at 8, 9, or 10 in my attention level or my readiness level, I'm ready to play. If I'm at 7, 6, and 5, I'm still social. I'm probably going to play okay, but I'm not really zeroed in. So I'm going to play hoping I can start off well, but typically a 7, 6, and 5 level means I'm going to start really playing well about the third game. And if you're below that, you probably shouldn't start yet. You should have spent more time getting warmed up before you even got to the court. So do an assessment as you begin to get near the 5-minute warm-up end. Where are you ready to play? And one of the ways you can remember if you're ready, as you were warming up, did you see the yellow ball coming in and yellow out? Meaning the ball travels in and out. If you saw a yellow streak in and out, that would probably tell you that you're pretty focused with your eyes and you're at a high level of play. So what does a good player always do? They make an evaluation. They've prepared, then they evaluate. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to perform at a high level. So our game plan has been to give you a ritual that you could follow to get ready to play, so you can perform at your highest level when it's actual match time. Whether it's a ritual that you decide by yourself that you seem very comfortable doing, or your partner and you develop a routine you do as a team, or the captain says, "Look, here's our team warm-up." The important part is you have a game plan before you actually start to play. And this is something you see in all the professional level sports. So if you take the things that high-level players already do, at the high level of play where you're headed to, and say, look, I need to incorporate these skills now because I'm on a journey, I want to be there, I want to be the next high-performance player.